everybody. Welcome to another episode of Wedflics. It's so lovely to have you here. I'm your host, Julia Braime. I'm the founder and editor of Brides Up North, the top UK wedding blog for Northern couples, and I'm also lucky to be the editor of Unveiled magazine. Today on the show, we are meeting one of our Unveiled network members, the gorgeous Wendy of Osh Gosh Gowns. Now, there isn't a thing that Wendy doesn't know about bridal fashion, and the selection of gowns and accessories in her beautiful boutique is testament to that. Without further ado, let's meet her and talk all things dresses. Okay, so hi Wendy and welcome to the show. Everybody, this is our Unveiled Network member, Wendy of Osh Gosh Gowns. She has run the boutique. How long for, Wendy? How long have you had the boutique?
She's been here for nearly 8 years now.
8 years.
Like yesterday when we started it.
And where are you based, Wendy?
We're based in a lovely little town called, well, quite an industrial town, Scunthorpe in North Lincolnshire. So we kind of we're on the edge of Yorkshire and the edge of Lincolnshire. So we kind of fall between a couple of cracks there, really. But most people know Scunthorpe as a steel town. And we opened the boutique about 8 years. Traditional boutique, been here for about 60 years now. So we were quite excited when we got a chance to take it over and revamp it. So yeah, so Little Old Sunny Scunny as it's known.
Well, not only on the steel map, but you're going to put it on the wedding dress and prom map, right?
Definitely, yeah. I think we already have.
So. Yeah, already doing so. That's what I mean. So I alluded there. You are known very much for your prom business, which we've just been talking about off camera. And I was saying how much I loved that whole thing when I was at school. We didn't quite have a prom, but we had balls, and I loved that whole dressing up princessy thing. And I was saying to Wendy that I think that's what brought me into like the bridal world, really, that kind of love of that moment and that sort of anticipation of one event. But then Wendy also does bridesmaids and also gorgeous wedding gowns, of course, because it is a bridal boutique. Do you want to tell us a bit about the labels that you stock, Wendy? Maybe go with bridal first.
Yeah, I mean, just going back to you talking about prom, I think that's also what really brought me into bridal too. So we started in prom primarily with Maury Lee, and that was merely because my daughter was prom age. I mean, it seems to be ages ago now, and there was just nowhere to get really, really nice prom dresses. So we saw a gap in the market. And I started running prom from home initially. Yeah, so that's where it all sort of like stemmed from. And we were very lucky. Maury Lee at that point would not let you stock their dresses if you were a business running it from home. So I thought, right, we need to change that. And that's when we then moved into sort of like a bigger sort of business. We weren't here in the existing premises, but Maury Lee had a sort of like a vote of confidence in a sense. I think they realised that we had hit on a sort of like a gap in the market, and they backed us all the way, which was fabulous. And to this day, we still stock Maury Lee prom and also Maury Lee bridal. But it was the sort of like the involvement of getting involved in prom, and as you say, getting excited about events, and the prom market was really, really taking off at that point. Prom, evening wear, charity balls, corporate balls, people just wanted to dress up, you know. So I think we'd gone through that phase of being in sort of like leggings and sweatshirts for far too long.
I mean,
back to where we are now.
I know. I was going to say, it sounds like you're describing current day. So I wonder whether you're already super busy, I know, at the moment, now that your doors are reopened. But I wonder whether like that boom is coming away. All those things you just described, I'm thinking, oh yes, race days, balls, all the sort of like stuff where you can do a bit of this. For anyone listening on audio, I'm kind of got a roughly sleeve on. A little bit of frou-frou and a little bit of frivolity is always fun, isn't it?
Absolutely. That's what kind of led us into bridal. So because obviously Scunthorpe being a small town, there was just nowhere to go. You know, people were sort of like shopping in the cities, leaving town and having to go elsewhere to make their purchases. So that's where we really started the prom side of the business. And then I personally quickly realised that that I wanted to take this further, and that's where my passion for bridal really kicked in. And again, Morley supported us from get-go, so I've got a huge lot of respect for them sort of backing us from the start of the business. But at this point it was, no, you need to have, you know, proper retail outlets before we sort of move into bridal with you. And very fortunately for us, you know, the boutique was up for sale. And as I mentioned earlier, it's been a bridal boutique for 60 years plus in the town.
Wow.
So it just seemed to make sense, you know, it all just fell into place perfectly. So we completely revamped the boutique, and Morley came on board with us, and we've added other lines since. So we've now got Ronald Joyce, we've just recently taken on Stella York.
Nice.
We've got Dando London, and then we do a really nice quirky vintage tea-length dress through True Bride, which is Brighton Belle. So hopefully there's something for everybody, you know. So, and then Bridesmaids, we started doing that through Tiffany, and again fell in love with their bridal range. So we've got Tiffany on board as well now.
Wow, there is a lot of choice.
There is. I mean, we're sort of like full to the rafters. We're certainly not one of those beautiful boutiques that you go into where there's a dozen dresses just spaced out around the shop. That's just not.
No, but I feel like as a shopping bride, you want to have that sort of chocolate box feel. I mean, I certainly do. I want to be able to go in and be like, wow, there's so much here. I could, you know, try on any of these, and there, you know, there's going to be sizing options, and there's going to be color options, and there's going to be length options, and XYZ, you know, lace or satin or whatever. I think it's nice to have that kind of, to not feel like, oh, nothing here will fit me, you know, or instantly. I think it's nice to kind of have that smorgasbord of what bridal choices.
That's a great description, actually. So because we get so many brides who just say, God, we've been here, we've been there, and nothing fits me, you know, whether you're a tiny size 2 or 4 or a size 24, there should always be a good selection of dresses. And that's sort of been our sort of mainstay in many ways, because, you know, we can make the choice whether we just specialize in plus sizes or specialize in a certain design and just be really minimalistic. But we sort of took the option that we would just try to cater to everybody, you know. And that tends to be our approach with everything. You know, we don't discuss, it's not a question of, all right, have you got any plus size dresses? You know, we've got dresses to suit everybody and every size to suit everybody. I hate getting into that size discussion. You know, what sizes do you stock? You know, we stock sizes for everybody. You know, and that for me is whether it's a size 2, which is equally just as hard to find. You know, exactly. For a bride, or if you've got a tall bride, you know, so it's not just, you know, sort of like, do you stock plus sizes? We often get asked, do you stock smaller sizes? You know, so we set out to try and cater for everybody. So,
because everyone's different, so that's the way it really should be. You know, this should not be unique. It should be, if you're looking for like a friendly, I mean, you guys are really friendly at Osh Gosh, but if you're looking for like a friendly bridal experience, that shouldn't really be a worry. You know, it should be kind of like embracing, and it should be about the dress you like, not the one you can fit, I think, at the end of the day.
Yeah, and that's the approach we take, Julia.
What I would say about your dresses is, I would call them quite commercial labels, your labels, in a good way. And it's that whole kind of every bride thing. And it's interesting because the blog that everyone knows is For Brides Up North is a very commercial, intentionally commercial within the North. Obviously, the Northern thing is our niche because we really do believe in this whole shop local thing with a passion. I mean, we were doing it before it was even a thing, but I love that everyone's behind it because it just gives it extra oomph. So it's really good. But that was our niche. But we always have tried to be kind of every bride within that niche. So, you know, whether you're like quirky, whether you're really super like minimalistic and stylish, whether you love a princess dress, or whether you love lace or satin, or whatever you want, there should be some representation for you on our blog. And what's funny is I feel like it's the same ethos as your shop. And strangely, lots of the labels you carry are very popular amongst our Brides Up North brides when we are blogging the real weddings. So we see a lot of Murray Lee, a lot of Stella York. And what was the other label you mentioned after Stella York?
We've got Ronald Joyce.
Ronald Joyce,
Tiffany.
and a lot of Ronald Joyce. So those 3 labels, plus I think a bit of Essence of Australia, actually, we see a lot of. And I know Stella York's like off the Essence label. So it's really interesting, that fit, because it's definitely like a certain type of girl that would kind of like both Brides Up North and like coming to your shop. So I feel like we're a good fit.
Definitely. But I think for me, it's like when we say commercial, I think going back to sort of our boutique being sort of like fairly small, I think that whole shop local thing really does ring true.
Oh, good, yeah.
And small but perfectly formed, I guess. But I think what we do pride ourselves in is, although they are sort of commercial in inverted commas labels, we have the knowledge and the ability to sort of like style them up. And currently there's so many sort of add-ons to a dress that you can really sort of change it into much more of a bespoke gown for that particular bride's personality or individuality. There's capes, there's additional trains, there's add-on sleeves, there's necklines. We're having some great fun at the moment with sort of like, it's like having our own little dress-up dolls, so we sort of like stock lots of those little extras, and we have great pleasure in changing a dress. So it's not a Murray Lee, for example, or a Stella York that you've seen in 101 other bridal photos. We've added a sleeve or a cap sleeve, a flutter sleeve, even long puff sleeves now, or a cape, and just made it really individual.
Oh, how exciting for your bride.
We're loving doing it.
I bet.
Absolutely loving it at the moment.
When I say commercial, I don't mean that in like a dirty word sense. I mean it in like be assured there's something for you sense, if you see what I mean. Because you will be able to find something in store. That's kind of how I meant it, not the other way. But I love that you can customize and change and tweak for each individual customer. I think that's so special, and that you are going to be getting a really because they're high quality labels, a high quality gown, but that's kind of perfect for you. And you've sort of, I love that you can kind of bespoke it up.
Yeah, we have great fun doing it. And I think in this sort of like last couple of collections, I mean, there was sort of creeping in last year, all these sort of add-ons, but even more so this year. And I think it's just really changed, sort of like what we do and how much fun we have doing it, really. And the team are really quite creative and artistic. And so we're changing everybody's dress, so we're trying to get them to change them, just adding little bits in, and it's surprising how many brides are really warming to that. But I think the labels that we have got, I mean, I'm very confident in that there is always something for everybody. All those collections that we've mentioned have such a huge range of styles, fabric and detail to choose from, so they are good solid brands. And you're absolutely right in that there will always be something there for everybody to find. It is a real chocolate box, and I think that we've got really solid brands that do complement each other. We've worked hard at that, and as I say, we're not minimalistic. We're not going to have, I mean, it's such a great loss, Ian Stewart, we're not going to have those very specific dresses. We're just not that type of boutique. As much as I'd love to delve into that, but we're just, we're not minimalistic. We've just got this whole mass of dresses to choose from and play with, which is quite exciting, really. We love it as much as the brides, I think.
It's incredibly exciting. I mean, you never want to get me in your shop, put it that way, because I haven't been to visit Wendy yet. Because I'm a nightmare. I'll be like touching it all. I'll be pulling it all out. I stopped short of like trying it on because that ship has sailed. But I love bridal fashion. So I don't know what I think is really hard. I mean, so when I work with a boutique and I'll borrow some of the collection to shoot for the magazine, I've already kind of got an edit in front of me from that boutique style or the dresses they've selected. What I think your skill set must lie in is choosing those, like, 8 to 16 or however many sample dresses you take from that immense collection from these designers. How do you know what to buy? How do you choose every season?
It sounds a bit cliche, but it kind of comes naturally now because we've been here. It is actually, so people, I think that's what people do or don't appreciate with a smaller boutique, that you have got a skilled team of individuals there. I mean, as soon as somebody walks through the door, I kind of know what I'd like to put them in. And that does sound cliche, but we always sit down, we talk with our brides. We've already gone through a questionnaire that they've completed before coming in, so we kind of try to get inside their head as much as we can. But as soon as I see that individual, I just think, oh my God, I just know what's going to look so good on you. And it may or may not be in her sort of like suite of gowns that she's already chosen. But what we do try to do is just not push brides, but we try and advise and guide.
Oh yeah.
And sometimes that's pushing them out of their comfort zone. Because you'll know yourself, it's once you start trying on, it's surprising how your thought process changes when you actually see those dresses on you as an individual.
Yeah. I mean, you hear it all
really
the time.
Does.
You hear it all the time. I obviously hear from brides direct a lot, and we always talk about the dress because, I mean, it's my favourite bit. So we chat about it. Whether they're filling out a questionnaire or something for the magazine, or whether I'm seeing them through the door at wedding shows, I like to kind of chat with them. Have you got your dress yet? All this sort of thing. And often I will hear, oh yeah, it's completely not what I thought I'd go for, but X, Y, Z. And they're in love with the dress. And sometimes they kind of tweak their wedding a little bit around the dress as well. I thought I wanted lace. I hated satin, not good for satin. Obviously I was in a full plain satin by the end of it. What went on there?
But I think when it comes to buying, I think because of the sort of like the huge selection that we've got, for us, buying is number one, keeping on trend, and looking at what's coming down the line and making sure that we've got that available. Like now it's all the botanical type laces. The boho is still very much in, but the corded laces are kind of creeping out. Satin is very much in at the moment, the Mikado satins. So plain is on trend. I love that. So we'll always buy now. Are you?
Yeah, I've gone the other way. And not converted. So much lace, actually. Yeah. Gone the other way.
That we'll always make sure we're buying on trend and from new collections. And we always, what also drives us is where we feel we've got gaps. If we feel that we've sort of like sold lots of A-line dresses in the last 6 months and we've got gaps, then we'll always try and plug those. But some of it is just what we feel we know our brides will love, so it's a skill that I don't even think about anymore. I don't go buying and think, oh my God, I'm really nervous, are we going to choose the right styles, because I think we just know what our brides are looking for. And for us it's more keeping on trend, really making sure we've got what's coming down the line. And sometimes that can be a bit scary, because we just sort of think, oh my God, it's on trend, and we know that all the designers are going to be featuring these dresses in their marketing. But we're then thinking, will our brides like that? And we're not sure at that point. It's a fine line,
isn't it? It's a fine line. And sometimes like a campaign dress, I find it'll almost be oversaturated in the market, so you'll see it everywhere. A very floral gown maybe that you recognize everywhere, or like there was one a couple of years ago that had stars all over it that was everywhere, and whereas that might hook the bride to check out that collection or that particular designer, it might not be what they end up with, because actually if we've already seen it everywhere, then you're going to want something a little bit more unique and that's yours, and that's going to stun the crowd. And often, like within a collection, there'll be sort of variations on that style, or maybe the fabric will be used somewhere else or in a different way, or perhaps more subtle or whatever than the actual campaign dress. So yeah, it's really, really interesting, I think. I also find, not to go off on a tangent, that when I'm shooting for the mag, I will, obviously, I like the campaign dresses because they look good in print and they're a statement piece and all this, but we never just take that one dress. We'll always take like 10 or so dresses to kind of put together as a group. And when I'm shooting, I'm always very keen to be real for my readers, so I'll always try and include the dresses that are wearable as well, but just kind of to back up that statement dress and bring them in the editorial somehow, because it is important that, you know, that brides know there is a breadth within the collections. I think is quite key.
And I think as a new bride who's just setting out to look for her dress, as you say, it's very often those campaign pieces that will be the attraction. You know, and if that gets her excited about shopping, then that's fabulous. That's probably what that campaign set out to achieve. But it's then our job, obviously, to sort of drill down deeper, and just find out, you know, just really exactly what her day is all about, and what she really should be looking for. I mean, we often call it our sort of our 3 Ps, you know, which is, you know, we need to look at her personality. And we often say to a bride, don't go for something that's just not you, if that makes sense. I mean, I know a wedding dress isn't you anyway, because it's not an everyday item of clothing, but if you go too far out of your personality, then you're just not going to feel confident on your wedding day.
Yeah, it's going to wear you, isn't it?
Absolutely, you know. So, and then sort of like the practicality, you know, very often people have already got children, you know, so if you're going for a skin tight, you know, sort of fitted fishtail dress and you can't bend down to pick your kids up, you know, it's just, so it's always just trying to, and it's surprising how many brides don't think of these little things, you know. So it's, and that's where our job again comes into, you know, to sort of like trying to remind them that yes, that campaign dress looks absolutely stunning, but does it fit with who and what your day is all about, who you are and what your day is, you know.
I'm still laughing about your fishtail analogy there, because you're so right. And also, you've got to kind of be able to walk in your dress, like, and dance in your dress and stuff, and also eat in your dress is key, isn't it? And it's got to be, you know, obviously it's not going to be the most comfortable thing you've ever worn unless you're wearing pajamas, but you know, it's got to be relatively comfortable.
Yeah, it has. And we'll get brides saying, you know, at alteration stage, I want it tighter, you know, and it's like, well, how are we going to get into your transport? You know, you've got a horse and cart booked, you know, so it's just not going to work, you know. So the practicality of it just isn't there, you know. So, and as I say, the 3 Ps are, you know, literally personality, practicality and passion. You know, got to love your dress. You know, so we tend to really work on that basis, and those 3 Ps have really got to come across in every bride's dress.
That's great. You could also add another one, place, for where you're getting married, like the style of your wedding as well, you know, kind of. So I go back to my own dress shopping experience, which I often do in these conversations with suppliers. I always kind of, because I'm hearing it straight from the horse's mouth, as it were, like I think back to my own experience rather than my professional experience. So when I got married, I was very passionate about a certain dress I'd seen in a campaign by Jenny Packham. Jenny Packham was very, like, the hot designer at the time. This is 10 years ago. And it was a dress called Papillon. And it's like a very sort of slinky, kind of spaghetti strap, very nighty-ish, with kind of like plique sort of dripping sort of like beady bits hanging off it to the floor. And I just loved it on the model. I loved it on the model. I still remember it. I still love it. I'm still like, oh, Papillon. But on me, it just looked like I'd kind of escaped from, I don't know where, you know, like I was off on the moors somewhere, like Mr. Rochester's wife, and it wasn't supportive where I needed support, and it wasn't going to fit my quite big wedding, you know. It was a bit slinky. It was a bit more of a slinky evening wedding or a beach wedding type thing. And actually, thank goodness, the stylist in the boutique where I tried it on had the wherewithal to say, oh, I don't really think that's going to be for you, but how about trying on the Alan Hannah gowns, which are going to actually make your figure look good. And then obviously, as soon as I got one of them on, yeah, okay, I could see where it was coming from.
Yeah.
But it is, you know, keeping an open mind when you're shopping is so important, isn't it?
It is. And you know, it's, if I had £1 for every time somebody left with the dress that they thought was right for them, because everything's on a 6'2" model. It's they're all diddy sizes, they're all airbrushed, the setting's perfect. And that's where I'll change that to the 4Ps. They really do kick in, and you've really got to consider all those factors. And even when they're in the boutique, they're stood on the podium in the dress, where like try sitting down, or let's just walk up and down the boutique and see how that works, because it's got to be practical. You're wearing it for the whole day. And if you can't, you just can't walk because that fishtail is just too tight, or the ball gown that's just too full, or a lovely top that shows fantastic cleavage, but then as soon as you bend down, you're showing too much cleavage. All those things really have to be taken into consideration. So, we really like to get our brides moving off the podium and around the boutique, just so we can just test out that sort of like practical side of wearing that dress.
Yeah, that's lovely, and that's where all your experience and your team and your training and that whole sort of back end shopping experience comes in. You've seen the dresses, you've sat with the dresses, you've had them in the boutique, you've tried them on, and that sort of stuff. Like that kind of knowledge and the knowledge of all the brides that have gone before all kind of adds up to this very special experience. And that's why the independent boutiques, you cannot beat them, literally, in terms of quality, expertise, customer care. It's just, I could bang this drum all day. That I love banging that drum, but it's I can't press home enough. If you're about to be and you're thinking of going to like a big chain, don't go there. Book your small boutique. No. Particularly if you're in the Skunk Up area, go to Wendy. She'll look after you. And so let's talk about bridesmaids. So bridesmaids, not everyone does bridesmaids, because obviously it involves a lot of girls in one place, and a lot of different orders and a lot of different kind of agendas. But why do you persist with bridesmaids? Why do you love bridesmaids?
I love bridesmaids because I think in this day and age, I think that there are so many, and I'm going to use that dirty word, cheap. There are so many cheap dresses out there. And don't get me wrong, you can get some really good cheap dresses, but I think the better the fabric, the nicer the photographs. And I just see so many people that spend so much money on the bride's dress, the groom's outfits, the mother of the bride, mother of the groom, everybody's looking fabulous. And then you just see the bridesmaids in these dresses, and you can't steam them for love nor money, because the fabric quality is just so poor. And that's why what we've tried to do is find a brand where whether it's chiffon, velvet or crepe, is just a really nice quality. They hang perfectly. We've got flexibility with corset backs or zip backs. We can change elements, we can order extra length, and the flexibility for a group of people is just there. Whereas we get so many people come in and it's like, I've just bought this dress online, I won't say where. Number one, I've got 6 bridesmaids, but this one is just one bridesmaid's gained a little bit of weight, so this doesn't fit her, can you let it out? And then you look at the seams and there's just nothing to let out. So she's either not a bridesmaid because you can't get that dress anymore because I bought it a year ago. Or you're just left with trying to find something different. The whole group comes down like a pack of dominoes. So for me, it was important to find a brand that our brides and bridesmaids would feel confident in being able to find a dress that they all suit. Whether they're from a size 0 up to a size 32, they've got the option of zip back, corset back. We can order extra length. The seams are generous. We can let them out. We can take them in. Complete flexibility. And I can just see, our brides just sign with relief that they've actually found something that the whole group can go with.
Yeah, and there's also not that issue. There's not that issue of like, when Coast used to be in existence, poor Coast, like rest in peace Coast, because we all loved Coast. But when Coast has been in existence, if you're going with your bridesmaid dresses from Coast, okay, they were all right quality, but there's also that issue, like we need a size 14, we've got a 10, a 12, a 16. Oh, where's the 14? Okay, there's not one. Panic, ring all the different shops. Can you get one for the last bridesmaid? Oh no. Oh, okay, well maybe we'll put her in the long version. Oh, okay, well another one's going to have to be in the long version. Oh, that doesn't fit her around the chest. This stress.
Absolutely.
And also everyone's going on their lunch breaks and buying. Oh no, much better to just get into a boutique and be fitted properly for the dresses and have them ordered in your size and altered as well if necessary.
Absolutely. And the difference I see in sort of like a good quality dress, bear in mind you're looking at your photographs for so many years to come, and that includes your bridesmaid dresses, so you want them to look equally as good. And I'm a real, it's like all our bridesmaids get altered by the same seamstress, because I want them all exactly the same length at the front as well as the back. So you've got that uniformity right across the group. And I'm just a real stickler for that. Maybe I'm a bit too fussy.
Oh no, I love a bit of consistency. It's my favourite.
I just think you're looking at those photos again and again and again, and something like that I just wouldn't be able to unsee. So for me, it's, I know you can get cheaper dresses, and a lot of boutiques are saying, I'm not doing bridesmaids anymore because we can't compete with ASOS or with, H&M. They're all doing these sort of like bridesmaid dresses now. But I would just
to that.
No, yeah, and I would just get, just compare. It's the old adage, you do get what you pay for when it comes to something like this. So
I completely agree, and I think with the sort of line like Tiffany that you have, like you have choice in terms of like, yes, fit and style, but also in terms of color. Like there's a real kind of I was gonna say smorgasbord again. There's a rainbow to pick from of colors, and if you've got a particular color in mind, like a forest green or like a gold or a mustard or whatever, you'll be able to find it within the range. I think that's really, really important, that you're not kind of limited in that way. And I agree, like I've been a bridesmaid a lot actually, so I'm like a professional bridesmaid, strangely. But wearing like the quality dresses as a bridesmaid, you feel special. It feels like a special day for you, so you're putting on a gown that you wouldn't normally pick. You can't get on the high street. It's been chosen. You're part of a gang already, so like it's kind of, if you're going to be wearing the same dress as everyone else, it better be a bloomin' nice one. Do you know what I mean? And you put it on and you've got your flowers and you feel like, oh, okay, like I'm a bridesmaid. I'm an important part of this wedding. I've been thought about and involved, and I'm not kind of just there to make the bride look good. And actually it's, you want your friends to feel like that, because if they're not married yet, they'll get you back. And
true.
And they are in your photos, and you want to look back on your photos and think, oh, the girls, they look so nice on the day, and I'm so glad that I picked a nice dress for them. And
I always say to brides, you want happy smiley bridesmaids, don't you? Not like, oh my god, look what she's put me in. So, but again, where the independent boutique bit kicks in is we can order extra fabric, we can even make the guys' ties in the same color, we can do wraps, we can do boleros. There's just so much more that we can offer. But again, it's down to every individual and their choice. But when you say why do we do bridesmaids, it's because I think I am just a stickler for everything looking fabulous on the day.
Absolutely.
And that boils right down to your bridesmaids too. They're included in looking fabulous.
With that extra length thing, I've got a bit of a funny story. So I was a bridesmaid for my best friend, and I'm tall, and so on my dress, so all the other girls are kind of like pretty average height, and they all just got the average size dress in their size. And because I'm tall, I had to have extra length. And when we went back for the fitting, all the dresses would come out, and mine came out and it had this massive tag on it. I'm talking like a big square tag. It just said in big red letters, XL. It's like, oh, couldn't you have just taken that off?
A little bit of tact and diplomacy might have worked there a bit.
And I was like, it's length. And they were like, yeah, come on, Jules. But
bridal sizing's cruel anyway, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
So that will have added to it.
It was very funny. But at least, I was with my gang, so we all had a laugh. But I think we took it home actually, like as a prop, and took it on it was funny. But tell you what, something you just mentioned then, you said velvet for bridesmaid dresses. Ooh, interesting.
Yeah. We've just done a group in they're in like an aubergine velvet. So, and they look absolutely gorgeous. They really do.
Brilliant.
I'm excited for that one.
This is an editor's tip, okay? Velvet for autumn winter 2021 and beyond. Oh, it's gonna be amazing. Yeah, amazing. We've got to get that in the magazine, Wendy, because as soon as you said it, I was like, bing, 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 bing. That sounds incredible. Slinky, velvety, all the feels. So in terms of kind of your favorite bit of running your boutique, what's your favorite part?
Gosh, so much. How do I narrow that down into just one element? I just love it all. Which I'm surprised at, because normally when I was employed, I'd probably last a couple of years and then just think, I'm bored now, I need to move on.
I know what you mean.
Because I just constantly go at a pace. But the variety that this industry brings is just phenomenal, you know. So everything from marketing events right through to seeing that bride on her day it's just magic. And it's hard to narrow it down, that one, Julie. That's a tough question. I think for me, thinking it through, the bit that gives me a real buzz is bringing that confidence out in a person. And you know, from somebody, I'm getting tingles now actually.
I love that.
Honestly, from seeing somebody walk in the door and being quite daunted and a little bit overwhelmed about buying their wedding dress, to seeing them stood there when we found their dress and then beaming and being really confident, you know, I think that's what drives me. You know, and
that's
I think
priceless,
women,
isn't it?
It is, you know, and I think as women, I think we kind of always do ourselves down, don't we? You know, I feel a bit chubby today. I've eaten all the wrong things. I've drank too much. My skin looks a mess. We're always, there's very few positives, isn't there, with us? So to see somebody standing there thinking, oh my God, I can't wait, you know, to wear this is what really does sort of drive me, without a doubt.
Oh, and that's exactly how a bride should feel. So that's the perfect answer, actually. You know, it's just that's exactly what it'd be like your mission statement.
Yeah, I guess it could, you know. So, but you've only really made me think that through by asking the question. Because I love it all. I love it all. You know, I love buying. I love events. You know, I just love everything about the industry. So,
no, you
and
are
even 8 years on, I still love it.
You are known for your events, aren't you, Wendy? Tell us a little bit about your fashion shows that you've been hosting.
Gosh, this is what I was saying to you earlier on. Sometimes I need to give myself a little bit of a pinch and just think. My background is marketing and events, and I also love collaborating with other suppliers, because I just think, you know, as a collective, I think we can all do so much more, you know, the likes of everything that you strive for. And I just feel that as a showcase, we can bring a lot to the market for our customers collectively. So we, rather than just do sort of typical catwalks, we tend to do what we call our bridal showcase. And the last two we've done have been fabulous. We've done them in teepees, which have been dressed with all the flowers. We bring everybody on board, from cake suppliers doing cake tasting, disco, food, the pizza van outside. Everybody is a wedding supplier in one shape or another. And we don't charge for people to attend, and we'll maybe have 12 or 15 brides on the catwalk, all shapes, all sizes, and basically just roll the dresses out.
I love this. I mean, I'm just throwing out, I think we should combine this into one of our Brides Up North events. I think you should bring your show within our event and do it somewhere like Wedstock. I think would be perfect for that. That sort of thing. An installation would be perfect. So we should talk about that off camera. But I'm just thinking, ooh, that sounds amazing. But I love how you have all the different shapes and sizes and all the real brides. I think that's a great way to do it. And it's really nice, kind of, like, again, the word friendly comes to mind, like a friendly way of displaying in a fun way. Yeah. Making a bit of an event of it. That's what we like to do. We like to make things friendly, fun, and kind of up level it a bit, I guess. So yeah, it goes well. We'll talk about that separately.
It's just completely different to a traditional catwalk. Look, the star of the show the last time was the dog. We even had a dog.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's literally a bridal supplier who, you know, sort of dresses the dog on the day as a ring bearer, looks after the dogs, and he stole the show. Completely stole the show.
Of course. But yeah, I don't like a bridal catwalk either. In fact, I've kind of done away with them, to be honest. We kept one for a while at one of our big shows in Durham, because the hotel liked it. But nah, you need something a bit more inspiring, I think. And I think we've moved on. I think we're all a bit realer now, particularly after like everything we've been through in the last 18 months, however long. And I think it's time for a bit of fun, really. Let's play a game, okay? Let's play a game. So
go on.
Right, so you've got to pick a favourite, and this is very much on the spot. Okay, so I will not, make you write these answers in blood. It's just for the fun of the game.
You are so cruel.
Okay. So what would be your favourite upcoming trend?
Botanical lace.
Oh yeah, me too.
All over it, love it.
I love the floral stuff that's going on. It's so pretty, and it really goes across a lot of different looks, doesn't it? It can be dressed up or down, or good answer. Favorite dress of the moment? Favorite
dress, golly gosh. We have got in the window right now Ronald Joyce Celestine, which is it's totally untraditional bridal. It's blush with a hint of burgundy. It's got flowers all over it. It's just a completely different dress. It's mind-blowing. The number of people that have come into the shop and said, oh my God, that dress. So, I mean...
And do they try it on? Do those people try it on?
Yeah, we've had some. We've got somebody who's probably coming back next week to buy her. So, So
the colour thing isn't... Brides aren't being put off by colour now. Brides are embracing colour more. Yeah. Because it used to be a thing, it'd be a daring thing. But my own wedding dress was a little bit kind of blushy pink. I always feel like I have to say it in a nice way, because I'm still not quite over the fact that it was different in that way. But I think it's nice to add a bit of zuzz in that way.
Yeah, we're doing a lot with the nudes. Stella York do a shade called Moscato, which is just a darker nude, where the lace really stands out. It really sort of pronounces the detail in a dress. So brides are just loving all the nudes, golds, Moscatos. We just seem to be doing so much more of that. And it's one of those things where and people look at them on the rail and think, no, I don't like that colour. But then when they try it on and they can see how warm a tone it is against their skin, and it's not as deep a colour when it's actually on, because in most cases the top layer is an ivory. But doing so much more in those sort of colour families now. So
beautiful.
So again, it's making sure you've got that collection and that range of dresses for people to choose from. But I should send you a picture of Celestine.
Yes, please.
It's beautiful.
I'll be Googling it immediately, but yes, please. Okay, so iconic wedding dress of all time. What's your favourite, think Grace Kelly, but not Grace Kelly.
That's not fair. Do you know what was bizarre? I was looking at some of the royal weddings just the other week, and it's going to sound cliche, but Kate Middleton just looks every ounce of elegance.
That gives me goosebumps, actually. I've
got it again now.
Yeah, that's my favourite iconic wedding dress of all time as well. Kate Middleton. I think she absolutely... I feel like I can cry about it. I'm so weird and emotional today. I need to shake off a bit.
Yeah.
But she absolutely nailed it, didn't she? Just and even in the evening with that little kind of mohair bolero with the little sparkly belt, she's what a princess she is, isn't she?
Yeah. But that just goes to show, plain, and you don't need all the lace, you don't need everything. It was just it was the right dress for her. I think that's what did it for me, and that's probably why the dress is iconic, because she looked every inch of perfection.
And for the day as well, for the sort of the level of pomp and circumstance to it, the dress kind of carried itself, and it even competed with Pippa's bum, didn't it? She still looked great, even though Pippa's bum got all the press.
Stole the show.
Yeah. The only thing I'd change about Kate Middleton's wedding day, in my own head, is I'd give her a better bouquet than her little Lily of the Valley. But I mean, it's a royal tradition, and it wasn't distracting from the dress. But I would have gotten more flower. I would like a bit more flowers in the bouquet, but that's just
bring that colour in.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, and what about the celebrity you'd most like to dress? If you had to pick a celebrity to dress, they can be married, they can be dead alive.
Jess and I were talking about this a few weeks ago. I think it was when we did the piece for your blog, and we're very much sort of personality driven, and I think we came up with Stacey Solomon.
Yes,
I just love everything about her.
Everything
she stands for, and her personality is just fabulous. So she is a typical Osh Gosh bride. So she just fit right in, you know.
Well, she's delayed her wedding, so she could still be dress shopping. So maybe if Stacey's listening, Stacey,
drop her a line.
Someone else answered that question in a written piece for the blog the other day, and they said Gemma Collins, and I absolutely loved that. I thought that's such a cool answer, isn't it? She'd be a lot of fun to dress, definitely, and a lot of personality. I thought that was a good answer, definitely.
She would, but can you imagine her? She'd be a complete bridezilla, I'm sure.
I bet she's really nice. I bet she's really. Tell you who'd be a bridezilla, Kim Kardashian. She would be a bridezilla.
Yeah, took it in a little bit more at the bottom.
Oh goodness, yeah, goodness gracious. And I have to ask before we finish, why the name Osh Gosh? Where did that come from?
I was dreading you asking me this question, and I should have actually had an answer. There is no science behind it at all. It was, I think, how we got the shop, and I'd literally gone online to look at a website URL, and every bridal name I came up with had already been taken. So, and I just thought, show me what you've got.
Really?
And Osh Gosh was there, and I thought, I love that. I actually really do like that. I wouldn't have thought of it in a million years, but there it was. So that was it. So finding a URL came up with the name.
That's amazing. And what a great name, though.
We get everything from oh gosh to oh my gosh. So, but it's
because it's like, because you do get like, oh gosh, you know, like gosh, but then Osh Gosh, and it's just it sounds a bit like, you know, like the dress, like Osh Gosh. I don't know. I really like it, and it sticks in your mind, which is obviously important, you know, absolutely. From like a brand building. You'll know, being in marketing, from a brand building perspective. But definitely. What a great tip for anyone, you know.
I knew I didn't want a traditional sort of bridal name, you know, one of those that sort of like does everything it says on the tin. And I think that's why I was just struggling a bit, really, because that's where I started from. But then, was the same when I saw Osh Gosh there, I thought, yeah, that's the name. So, and
I love that.
It's still here, and it's not going to change for the foreseeable. Ever. We're here to stay.
Well, listen, Wendy, I need to pop in and see you and check out your boutique in real life. But for now, thank you so much for being our guest today. It was such a pleasure chatting with you. And brides, please do. Wait a minute, we need to put in your website address. So www.oshgoshgowns.co.uk, right?
That's it. Gosh, she's just reeled that straight off.
Yes, I do my job. And what's your Instagram at?
Osh Gosh Gowns. Everything is Osh Gosh Gowns.
Please do go and check out all of Wendy's online channels and get some appointments booked, ladies, because, you know, time's ticking. Thanks so much, Wendy, for having us, though. So really enjoyed that. Thank you.